Hi, welcome to the CSIS Southeast Asia Dialogue Program. My name is Murray Hiebert. I'm a Senior Fellow and Deputy Director of the Southeast Asia Program here at CSIS. Our guest today is Chairman Gita Wirjawan of the Indonesia Investment Coordinating Board. Chairman Wirjawan, as Chairman of the Coordinating Board, what do you see as some of your key priorities and how are you going about trying to implement these?
I think there's several, but the first one is to make sure that we undertake the key institutional reforms that would set the foundation for a much bigger scale of investments to come, particularly in the area of infrastructure. Some of these key institutional reforms would be the land acquisition law that has been highly anticipated for quite a while. And of course, some revisions on how we actually undertake, tender procedures. And the third would be, the extent of our taking a fiscal view on certain investments, whether it is to the extent of giving tax allowance or even tax holidays. These are in the works, which I believe will create a very different investment climate, for the better, of course, and that will, I think, unleash quite a significant amount of value.
As thinking a little bit about American investors, what do you see as some of the issues and policies and that you guys your board is trying to introduce that they should be aware of?
I think it's a case of understanding Indonesia better. People have commented to the extent of people in Jakarta not communicating as well as they should with people in the regions. It is true to some extent, but I think we've dealt with that and we've addressed that quite well in the past, and we're proving it by virtue of numbers. Foreign investments have gone up, but at the same time, domestic investments have also gone up. As a matter of fact, domestic investments in relative terms have even gone up. But I think what the American investors can expect going forward is better communication amongst the different branches of the government within the center and also between the central government and the regional government, and how we can actually show that we can, fix some of the issues that have been raised before.
If you were advising U.S. investors, long-term investors, about how to manage risk and build a presence in Indonesia, what would you recommend that they do?
I think Indonesia is going through a repricing of risks, and I think it will continue going through, a repricing of risks at the rate that, from a fiscal standpoint, we're very, very sound, in terms of managing our debt. Containing the debt to GDP ratio at 26%, even on a declination to a lower percentage in the years to come, and also being able to manage inflationary pressure quite well in the last couple of years as compared to some other Asian countries, and this, I think, will entail the world's recognition of Indonesia from a risk profile standpoint as a better destination. Some have even argued that Indonesia ought to be an investment grade country since months, if not a couple of years ago. We'll go through that. I think the world will see us, in a more favorable light as we go along.
Indonesia is hosting the ASEAN this year. Is chairing ASEAN. You're going to host the summit in November. You're going to host the East Asia Summit at the same time. President Obama will go for the first time as a member, bringing the U.S. in as a member of the East Asia Summit. Right. If you were asked to brief him tomorrow on 3 things he should know in advance of the summit, what are some things you might tell him?
I mean, clearly, scale. It's 240 million people. Number 2, I think macroeconomically very, very sound. both from a fiscal and monetary standpoint. And third is demographics. We're youthful people. We're very young, and we will stay young for a long time, and youth will certainly entail productivity, which will be good for anybody that wants to invest in Indonesia. Those would be, I think, the first three things that I would tell anybody about investing in Indonesia.
Now, Indonesia is a member of APEC, and another new institution that is being born, I guess, in the Asia Pacific is a Transpacific Partnership. How do you see Indonesia fitting into these multilateral forums, economic forums? And do you see any possibility of Indonesia joining the Transpacific Partnership sometime down the road?
I think we're still at the early stage of discussions. We have entered into a number of communities and groupings and memberships, whether it's the G20, and we've also signed free trade agreements with a number of regions in the world. These are, I think, things that we've got to be able to prove that those are worthy of successes. And as we go along some of these, I think we will be able to enter a more or a deeper stage of discussions on a TPP. But as you pointed out earlier, I think Indonesia is increasingly getting recognized on the world map by virtue of not only our membership in APEC, but also our chairmanship of ASEAN, but also our membership of the G20. And we've had successful events that basically notify the world that Indonesia is getting on the radar screen a lot better and a lot more than we ever have, whether it's by virtue of the OPEC conference that was held in Indonesia, the World Economic Forum East Asia earlier this year, and the upcoming East Asia Summit, and some of the other events that we will continue having in Indonesia. These are, I think, are good for Indonesia in terms of putting Indonesia on the world map.
Chairman Gita Wirjawan, thank you very much.
Thanks, Murray.